what? It's actually time to start the show. So let me turn off the music, turn on the mic. Let's get going. Woohoo! Are you ready? Yeah. Are you ready to stream? I am. That's me. Let's get this going. Okay. Making sure everything's working the way it's supposed to. Yes, indeed, there's my face. All right. Awesome blossom. You guys, today we were going to talk about pride. Woo! It's June, after all. It's Pride Month. Somebody has to talk about it. And that somebody is me today. And, let's see. My husband is in here to correct whatever audio issues he's hearing. Yeah. So, that's the benefit of having on-site technical support. He detects things, and then he comes and fixes them. So, I get lucky that way. Oh, you know what I forgot to do is pop out chat. So, I have no idea what you guys are saying to me, if anything at all. But yeah, so, you might be wondering, okay, what in the world is she going to talk about regarding pride? There's plenty to say about it. And so I'm just going to read you an essay that I composed yesterday, and then we can get into it. And if this goes long, or if you don't hear the whole thing, well, that's neither here nor there, is it? Let's see. There we go. I see it now. It's called Lessons in Pride and Love. And here we go. I grew up in a household so focused on projecting respectability that it actively punished integrity because the carefully curated illusions we defended couldn't withstand scrutiny and disintegrated in the light of the truth. Vulnerability was considered weakness, and weakness opened the door to attacks. These things weren't openly stated. Nothing authentic ever was. They were the unwritten rules of the household, discovered only when you transgressed them, and then ruthlessly punished, so that the lesson became burned into your psyche in a way that didn't let you forget it. That household didn't invite outsiders into it. It isolated us, kept us closed off. Not with outward rules, with behaviors that pushed people away and kept them at a distance. Behaviors that trained you to see other people's good fortune as proof they were loved more than you. To never say exactly what you mean, so nobody could ever hold you accountable for it. To smile to a person's face while you looked for an opportunity to gain the advantage over them. We performed respectability so we could gain trust we hadn't earned and be seen in higher regard than we deserved. We were a train wreck behind closed doors, but nobody knew it by how we looked, sounded, or acted in public. Except for my little brother. He was the blight on our otherwise spotless record. Refusing to hide his feelings or pretend to be what he wasn't, his behavior spoke volumes about what was going on when there was no one else to see it, to anyone with the wisdom to understand what that behavior was saying. Sadly, we were surrounded by people who took the superficial appearance at face value and blamed my brother without hesitation for just being that kid. By age 13, I was shattered and broken beyond measure. Over a decade of abuse and abandonment took its toll on my heart. I told myself pride would protect me from getting hurt. To those who met me, I seemed to have it all together. I never admitted I needed help. To admit that I needed help was to admit to being weak, and to be weak was to open myself up for attack. I wasn't about to do that. I shut everyone out. I traded integrity and intimacy for an identity I adopted to protect my damaged ego and kept everyone at increasing distance in order to protect the illusion. I never let anyone close enough to see the real me, let alone touch my heart. This process, all designed to protect me, acted like salt in a field, killing the seeds of love before they could ever take root and grow. I didn't know that's what I was doing. I wasn't trying to keep love out of my life. In fact, I was starving for authentic connection and genuine love. I just didn't know that the things I was doing were the very things stopping me from being able to find what I wanted. Fast forward 19 years, and I'm married to a man that I've known since the age of 13. He's closer to me than anyone else in my life. But our marriage isn't happy. Over the last year, I've come back to the Catholic faith I abandoned 3 years before we married. He's not happy about that. In fact, he's been viciously attacking me over it, and I cannot understand his rage. It seems so out of character for him and so over the top. I'm trying to become a better version of myself and can't understand why he seems so determined to stop me. I asked him to go with me on a worldwide marriage encounter weekend. My intention? Let God fix him. After all, in my mind, he is the one with the problem, not me. He agrees to attend the weekend despite his fears he's going to spend that weekend being verbally abused and assaulted for his lack of faith in rooms filled with believers. He decides if this is what I need, he'll give me that. That whole weekend, I carry the mindset that he's the problem and God needs to fix him. Then comes Sunday. We're given this exercise to complete, where we're each required to share something incredibly vulnerable with the other person. And I find myself physically shaking when it's my turn to do the sharing. I've been physically naked in front of this man thousands of times with no problem. But the idea of being emotionally naked in front of him terrifies me. In that instant, God reveals to me that my husband's not the problem in our marriage. I am. I erected those walls out of pride, so tall and so high that he's never met the real me, only the projected image of me that I carefully curated and allowed him to see. And if I want our marriage to heal, I've got to start tearing down those walls and letting him into all the places and spaces I've been protecting. That work began that weekend. The honesty and vulnerability required were terrifying risks to take. Could he love me once I let him see the truth? Would he choose to stay? I didn't know. But there was also no way to know until I chose to open up about it and let him see it all. I also could see why my husband was so enraged by my return to the faith I'd abandoned. It wasn't about my faith. It was about him falling in love with the woman I'd projected to him, only to discover that woman never existed at all. She's torn away from him, and there's nothing he can do about it. He was grieving the loss of her, grieving the loss of the relationship he thought we'd had, and doing his darndest in spite of that to stick things out. And here I was, not seeing the things the way he did, hurt and upset that when I'd given him a substitute woman, he wasn't all happy and thrilled about that. I saw us in the biblical story of poor Jacob, who worked 7 years to earn the hand of Rachel, only to wake up the next morning beside her older, and not at all attractive, sister Leah. Who could blame him for being upset at that? That weekend didn't fix every problem in our marriage, because there was no magic wand that could fix me and my brokenness. But it opened the door to authentic love being able to develop between the two of us. Today, my marriage is 1,000 times better and stronger than it was on that weekend of August 8th through 10th in 2009. My husband knows me and loves me for the person I am. And I don't have to hide who I am to be loved or pretend that I've got it all together. He knows I'm a walking hot mess, and he's okay with that. He's seen the worst of me and loved me through it, and I've seen his worst and loved him through that too. But that moment was the beginning of my lessons about pride and its relationship to love. Pride puts on a display. It performs respectability, increases distance, and all of that in the service of the ego. But the ego isn't you. It's an identity you created that you think you must wear in order to be loved and accepted by others. The ego must die for authentic love to be born. Love doesn't demand or require or even want a performance from you. Love wants you. All of you. Your weaknesses, your frailties, your vulnerabilities, your strengths, your powers, and your unique abilities. And it wants you to give it those things and be your authentic self, not the self you think you've got to be in order to please other people. So to those trapped in pride, I encourage you, let that ego die. It's going to be hard. It's going to be painful. It's going to require unlearning a lifetime of negative habits and failed strategies to protect yourself from harm. It's going to require radical levels of trust and vulnerability. But I promise you that if you can find the courage, if you step out in faith and do the work to remove those masks, real love awaits you on the other side. Because here's the truth. Until you find the courage to be honest about who you are, where you are, exactly as you are, nobody can love you or meet you there. They can only love the version of you that you've shown them. Now that was the essay I wrote yesterday. And I put it out there because it was really on my heart to do that. Because there's a lot of talk about pride, and of course this is Pride Month, and pride this and pride that. But pride is the enemy of love. Pride and love cannot coexist. And I wanted to explain to people why that's the case. Not tell them from a distance, not judge them for believing the propaganda that pride and love go hand in hand. They don't. But if you just tell people that, they have no reason to trust you, no reason to believe that you know what you're talking about. So the only way to teach effectively is to explain where I'm coming from. So that was the essay I did. Thank you guys for listening, and I'm glad that you enjoyed reading it. Updates on my life since we've last connected. I have managed to, I've been working on this project called Writing for Christ, and I am 44,873 words into this project and about halfway through. So this is probably going to be about a 90,000 word nonfiction book. But it's not just a book. It's got exercises attached to it. It really does dive deeply into what people can expect when they set out to write for Christ. Whether that book ever gets published or not is irrelevant. It really is. The journey of writing for Christ is about letting Christ have your stories, all of them, and letting him into those places and spaces that maybe you've never had the courage to let him into before. And letting him use those things that you didn't think were useful at all to not only work change in your life, but to help other people at the same time. And to transform you into the person, the exact right person he needs you to be for this moment in time. Because one of the things that happens when you're busy writing for Christ is that he does peel open those stories and cause you to re-examine them and look at your life from a totally different perspective and see it in a completely different light than you ever did before. I mean, I remember the first time that I was really sitting down working on writing a story for him. And what I started with was a memory from my childhood. The only memory from my childhood of my father that I had. And in that memory, I'm 4 years old, sitting on the back steps outside of my family's house, I'm in a cotton dress. I've got the skirt wrapped around my knees and my knees tucked up to my chest and my hands wrapped tightly around both the dress and the skirt of the dress and my legs so that nobody can see my panties. And my dad is down in the grass below being chased around and around by my older sister's dog. His dog's name was Frisky. Frisky and I were not friends. In fact, I was terrified of Frisky because Frisky did not like me. When I was a toddler, I had pulled on his ears and his tail, and he never forgave me. So I wasn't about to go anywhere near Frisky because he was going to let me know with his teeth how much he didn't like me. And so my dad was downstairs being chased around and around by that dog, screaming, "Somebody get this damn dog off of me!" And I know my little girl heart really wanted to go rescue my dad, but I was too afraid of the dog to move off the porch. And behind me, the screen door was open. Breezes were coming in. I could hear my mother and my sister washing dishes behind me. The clink, the clack, the clatter of the dishes and silverware knocking together. But they were not happy with my dad, and they were not about to go help him. And I wasn't about to confront my mother when she was angry. So there I was, frozen on that step, just watching, not able to do anything. And that's the only memory I have. That's where the memory actually stops. And I was thinking to myself, why? Why did my brain choose that moment? And I realized that was the day that my dad left Texas and went back to Mississippi and didn't come back. And I was very much daddy's girl. Very much a daddy's girl. Back when I was born, my mom says I had my days and nights mixed up, which meant that I was awake when she wanted me to be asleep, and she wanted to be asleep, I was awake. So it left my father taking care of me in the night when my mom didn't want to wake up and do it. And so we bonded over that, as he would just pick me up out of the crib and gently bounce me on his knees and rock me back and forth. And because he was a night owl too, so he got it better than my mom did. And so we bonded over that. I was his first biological child born. He had adopted my older sister, but I was his. And so yeah, we were really close. And then all of a sudden my dad just leaves. And so my 4-year-old little self, not understanding why my dad left, not knowing really any of the circumstances that drove him to leave, wrote this little story about who I was that said, I am not lovable. And when I looked back at my life, I could see clearly how that little story had made a train wreck of my life. It affected everything. It affected how I showed up in friendships and romantic relationships. It affected my marriage and how I showed up there. It affected everything. Because I was so afraid that if people got close enough that they could see whatever it was about me that made me that unlovable, that they would leave too. And that was a risk my heart just wasn't willing to take. So I was quick to hit the quit button. If things were going sideways, if it didn't look like it was going to work out in any way, I was quick to hit the quit button. And, you know, that moment with writing for Christ and Christ stepping into that moment and showing me from a 40-year-old's perspective what the 4-year-old had missed was that my dad was a paranoid schizophrenic. And he thought he was the biggest threat to my health and happiness, and that I would be better off without him. And my mother believed that too. She didn't see herself as a problem. She saw my dad as the problem in their marriage. The only problem. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. My mom and my dad met in a psych ward. I promise you, my mom was the ward secretary. She knew what my dad was in for. She just thought she could fix it. My dad wasn't the only crazy one in the relationship. He wasn't the only one with issues. But my mom thought he was. Just like I had not been the only one, that my husband was not the only one with issues in our marriage, but I had thought he was. Because it's always easier to see somebody else's issues than it is to see your own. And just like I had been convinced that if God would just fix my husband, everything would be fine, my mother was convinced if my father would just fixed, everything would be fine. And that was not the case, So they ended up, both of them, basically deciding that it was better for him to leave and not come back than it was for him to stay a part of my life. And as misguided as that thinking was, hey, it's Boomer, awesome blossom. As misguided as their thinking was, there was a certain logic to it. So at any rate, going back and examining that story, I realized that this was not a story. 4-year-old me was wrong. I was not unlovable. I was so loved by both of my parents that they were willing to do whatever they thought they had to do in order to protect me. And so, that's the whole thing, is if you let Christ into the middle of the stories that you've written about yourself in your head, stories that were written at moments when you were younger and less knowledgeable about life and about human behavior and about why people do the things they do, you'll start to understand why your life is the way it is. And you'll be able to fix some of the problems that those earlier stories and earlier wounds create in your life. And so that's what I'm working on, is that writing for Christ. Like I said, 44,873 words into it. Huzzah! About halfway done. And I got about probably 90,000 words total that this thing will end up being, with the exercises included. So that's one project. I finished another project for a client. His book signing was fabulous. After all the headaches I went through to get his books to him, all of it produced good things. He sold 110 of his books in one signing, and then has just put in an order for 100 more books today. There's no money for me out of that, but it's still awesome. Yeah, it is a lot of words, Boomer. It is a lot of words. I am a very wordy person. I write a lot. I write every day, and I will usually write a minimum of 3,000 words across various projects. In this case, this is one book project that I'm working on that has hit the 44,000 word stage. And then I've got another client that I had thought we were finished with his book submission packet on Monday and that he was going to send it off. But yeah, no, he has decided to go back in and make edits and corrections yet again. So I get to go over those tonight and get that back to him so that hopefully he can get it back to the publisher this week. I'm like, dude, really, seriously, you need to get it to the publisher. You need to stop dicking around with it and just get it done. I think he's nervous, and I think he's stalling. That is something we do as writers, is we get nervous about our work, and so we invent reasons why it needs to be fixed, improved, or otherwise corrected, so that we don't have to do the painful work of taking the risk of rejection. Could be wrong, but that's my guesstimation on what's really going on here. Any rate, so that is what I've been working on. Um, Last week I did tell you I had gotten my sewing machine. This week I got an iron and parchment paper for the sewing machine, so I am now ready to rock and roll with my creative station, which is cool. Um, that's gonna be fun. I will now be able to. I've got like stacks of plastic bags, plastic shopping bags that we have collected since we got here that will now be turned into uh, fake leather that I can use in various projects. So that's next up on the list once I finish these books that I'm working on. And words even, see, can't even do 5 without a typo over here. I feel you. I feel you. And yeah, so last week I was talking about the other writing project, the fun one. Pardon me. Yawning. Didn't mean to yawn in your faces. Called the BBDID, part of the BBDID, easy for me to say series, which is Big Busty Damsels in Distress. Which it's a funny, it's kind of a parody, but romance, rom-com type thing. So, and the BBDID title comes from the fact that it's an author whose best-selling series she can't stand anymore. She kind of got pushed into writing the series to pay back the advance on royalties that she still hasn't earned out. But they're her best sellers. She doesn't like them, but they are, and so that's kind of that. Any rate, I think I talked a little bit about that last week, although maybe you weren't here. So what's going on in your world, Boomer? How's life treating you? Anything exciting? Any news? And why I keep yawning? I even took a nap this morning. It's kind of sad and pathetic. I'd be further along in my writing if I hadn't done that. But I was sleepy and falling asleep at my computer, so I figured I should do that before I tried writing. Otherwise, what I would write would probably be a lot of hard garbage, which is not exactly my style. I prefer better stuff. Nothing much. New keys, but no room. You're hoping the stand will help? Yeah. Well, that's sad. When you got something new, but you don't have room for it. I can feel that pain, though. I do. Oh. Yeah. So, then I've been also thinking about various projects, various art projects that I can work on in the in between time. When I'm like not focused on writing and stuff. So I do have to take a break every now and then, give my brain a chance to rest. And so art's a really good way for me to do that. Too big for your desk. Stand on order will get you tomorrow. Oh, that's nice. You'll have to take a picture and show us. So it is a piano that you ordered, or just a keyboard, or what? What is it? Because I'm still enjoying my keyboard. Still dinking around with it and learning to use it. Had to rearrange my room a little bit to get the printer functional and the sewing machine working at the same time, but that's all good. Let's see. I'm just happy to be back in a space where I can start being productive again. I mean, I'm productive with my writing, don't get me wrong, but there are other things I like to do too. Alessis Harmony Pro 61. Ooh, let's see. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Do 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 do. Oh yeah. Okay, is it the portable one or the regular one? Oh wow. Musician's Friend is having a 4th of July sale up to 60% off. Offer available for a limited time. Pretty sweet. Well, I don't need anything new music-wise. Now, Randy might. Ark. Blah, blah, blah. Looks kind of like you got the same package I got. Jeremy was playing one earlier. Very nice. I'll have to check into that. I know he did a piano demo. I didn't get a chance to stop in and see what was going on with it. So, yeah, they were on stupid deal of the day for 100. So got us both one. Oh, very nice. That is a stupid good deal of the day. All right. Not Chisholm. So a client came over. I'm gonna have to talk to him tonight, but yeah, he can wait for a little bit. He's stupid about this. All right. I need to look up one thing. But yeah. So did you start out playing piano when you were younger, or are you just gonna pick that up as part of your extras? People. People. Ah, there she is. Nancy Betchel. Okay. You started on organs? Oh, that's awesome. How old were you when you started doing that? I always wanted to play piano, but we never could afford one when I was growing up, so there went that. Bass is the main instrument you dabble with? Very nice. All right, let's see. You were 5 and played with your grandma and your mom? Oh, that's awesome. That is incredible. Yeah, I wish. No, I did play a musical instrument in school, but it was the violin. Oh. You have a bunch of ambient music you did on your mini AKA synth? This does so much more. Ooh, nice. Yeah, I'm working on a few things. Like I said, dabbling mostly with figuring out my playing and making things coherent, getting the sound right that I like. Sorry, moving things around, try and make space for adjusting. I need to like set up things so it's easier for me to record the stuff that I'm working on. Because I do want to start working on putting some, well, I gotta finish my main projects first, and then I gotta start working on putting the real music behind some of the lyrics I've got. Creating my own songs and my own song set. That's something I'm looking forward to. I also gotta find some YouTube tutorials that are decent at teaching me piano. And then I gotta make sure I actually do the things I need to do to learn, which is, you know, show up, practice every day, your usuals. Oh my goodness. I am such a mess. Yeah. And of course, we have been working on preparing for the trip to Oklahoma City that's coming up in 2 weeks. Been discussing things and how it's going to go. And trying to make sure that I take care of everything before I leave, so my clients don't have anything they need from me, and I get as much work done on the book project as I can before I go. In fact, I kind of want to be sure that I've gotten it to the point. I know who I want to query for the book, and I was reading through their requirements, and I don't think it's going to be hard for me to adapt what I've written to their deal. But I got to get through with the rough draft first, and then I can dive in. You did a bunch of, yeah. So, where the wind goes rolling across the plains, yes. Oklahoma, where the wind comes whipping down the plains. Where the blazing, what is that? Yeah, Oklahoma. Let's see. I don't remember the words all the way through. Let's see if we can find it. Where the wind comes sweeping down the plain, and the waving wheat can sure smell sweet when the wind comes right behind the rain. Oklahoma. I don't know the whole whole melody either, apparently. But yeah, Oklahoma. Every night my honey lamb and I sit alone and talk and watch a hawk making lazy circles in the sky. Nice. You guesstimated the words. Good job, Boomer. Good job. I don't know, once somebody says lyrics, I kind of got to know the exact thing, otherwise it gets stuck wrong in my head. And as it is, I got enough garbage in my head that's wrong. I had to clear all of that out. So, yeah. Oh my goodness. Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain, and the waving wheat can sure smell sweet when the wind comes right behind the rain. Oklahoma, okay. Oklahoma, Oklahoma. Yeow. What a crazy thing. Oh my goodness. That's a musical that I have seen parts of, but I haven't seen the whole thing. At some point in time, I really should see the whole thing. I mean, good grief. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, I had moved this down a little later because I thought maybe, like, blinded by the light. Why is he singing about women's products? Oh my. Revved up like a deuce, another runner in the night. In the dumps with the mumps as the adolescent plumps his way into his hat. With a boulder on my shoulder, feeling kind of older. Trip the merry-go-round. Uh. Huh. That's a definitely kind of an interesting song. I've heard it before, obviously, but I've never really paid attention to it. So I wonder where exactly the inspiration was for that. Doesn't it make you wonder sometimes? You like read those song lyrics or you hear them sing it, and you're like, what in the heck are they meaning? Captures the frantic, dizzying, intoxicating spirits of youth, ambition, and the rock and roll lifestyle. Ooh. Fame, the spotlight, the sheer energy of coming of age. So they say. Boy, was my face red when I found out he was singing Deuce. It's about cars. Yeah. Yeah, those are some famous misheard lyrics, all right. Pretty easy to mishear things. Early whirly. Ripped up like a deuce. Yep. You know how it goes. Ooh, God. Again with the yawns. I know I'm boring. Boring myself, apparently. That's terrible. Bore yourself to death. Then you know you're doing poorly. Oh my goodness. Can't believe it. So crazy. Did discover today that there's a book vault that prints quite nicely in the UK. They do lots of cool work, and it's $20 to list your book on their stuff. But I don't know if I want to pay that much. I don't know if I want to do that or not. Although they do seem to have some nice printing options. From what I understand, if you wanted to ship them to the United States, it would cost you a pretty penny. I'm not entirely sure I'm sold on that idea. Oh, and then I was doing some research. Nap calling me too. I blame the pizza. It's because it's almost 9 o'clock at night, and my bedtime is usually between 10 and 11. Because I'm such a party girl. You know, going to bed at like 10 or 11. So sad, so pathetic. In my younger days, I would not get up until 10 a.m. in the morning, and I would not go to bed until 2 a.m. in the morning, and that was my normal life. And these days, I am up usually by 5:45 in the morning, and I'm down by 10 or 11. How pathetic. Ugh. And it's not even that I try to do that. That's just how my body wants to behave. It didn't ask my opinion. It didn't consult me. It didn't think about what I wanted out of life. No, it just did that. No, please, no, thank you. Just this is how it's going. So, oh my goodness. But I will say one of the fun projects I've been writing on the fun side a little bit here and there, not as much as I'd like to. Not until I get this main project finished. But I'll show you. I was doing some research for the fun project, like I said, the book, which is a romance. And the first date is going to be a mystery date, a billionaire taking his love interest on a shopping trip and then to a mystery date. He's not going to tell her ahead what the venue is. And I was thinking to myself, this is an author. So if I were a guy that was really into an author, what kind of event would I take her to? And I decided, you know what, he's going to have been kind of a more relaxed kid when he was younger, maybe a role player. And so I was looking at venues around New York where billionaires might hang out. Did you know there are clubs that you have to pay $50,000? $50,000 just to get through those front doors. I'm like, dude, that's a lot of money. A lot of money to pay just for the privilege of entering their doors. Like, for instance, I'm going to put this over to window capture so you can see what's going on. See if I can get this to come up. Yeah, there we go. This is Club 75, the virtual tour. Does this look like $50,000 worth of space to you? No Skittles. Nothing says romance like Skittles. I know, right? But actually, what I'm going to do is have them attend this club during a night when the whole club is basically turned into a live action role play. But this is like $50,000 to get in this place. It's crazy to me. I guarantee you, the food's not free, the drinks aren't free. Nothing about this place is free once you get past the doors. But just to have the privilege of being in this room, you're going to pay $50,000. Crazy. You got to have crazy amount of money to make that make sense. But, it's the exact kind of venue that people who have that kind of money attend, in part because it offers them exclusivity. So they're not hounded by people. And on top of that, they get the advantage of being able to network with other people at their income level. And I know that's why, and that's what makes it, to them, worth it. But I still can't imagine paying $50,000 for that. I just can't. And yeah, they have some libraries here, but are the books any good? Are they really worth that? You know what I'm saying, man? Oh, I could think of so many better uses for $50K. So many better uses. This is one of their little conference rooms that you can rent out. And this is like, this is on the, let's see, 32nd floor. So if you checked out the view here, I mean, it's crazy good views, right, of New York City. But just crazy amounts of money you're spending for the view. Like, seriously. And of course, some of the artwork on the walls is like original stuff by major artists whose names I don't know and don't care. I think one of them is Picasso, a Picasso that they have here. But that doesn't impress me all that much. Oh, here's the better view. If I can get it positioned just right. I mean, you're great view of the skyline, right? But anyway. I know. The things people spend their money on. Really? Seriously, y'all. Seriously. Enjoy seamless booking with Convene Hotel Partners. We're committed to providing a one-stop shop experience for your meetings and events. We partner with select hotels to offer exclusive rates and rooms for our clients. Yeah. Day passes. Meeting and event spaces. Here we go. Here's the membership. Do. Ready to explore the venue? Oh my. Cash rewards for referrals. Yeah. So here's the big front pictures they have. This is your brain on drugs. This is your brain when you think $50,000 is no big deal. Like that orange, by the way, the 1970s calls and want their orange back. Just saying. I don't know who did the interior decor there, but dang. That is a 1970s orange if ever I saw one. Wow. Yes. Exactly. All right, so here's the other one because I was looking at several different ones. It's so funny what people will spend their money on. Right. Posh penthouse exclusive clubs, New York City. It's amazing what you can find when you go looking for things. I know, right? That's what I'm thinking. A guide to New York's most exclusive new private clubs. Darling, if you have to ask, do you really belong here? It seems like everywhere you turn in New York, there's a new members only popping up. Yeah. The Union Club and the Metropolitan Club have existed since the 1800s. Let's see, the Amman, New York. All right, let's take a look at this. This is 735th Avenue. The membership fees is a $200,000 initiation. $200,000. Okay? Let's see if it's impressive enough for my $200,000 opinion. Drawing its name from the Sanskrit-derived word for peace, Amman has strategically evolved over the course of the decades to become one of the world's most intuitive and pioneering lifestyle brands. Oh, that's an expensive word, lifestyle brand there. All right, so let's see our destinations. Americas and the Caribbean. Let's look at United States. Amman, New York. Oh, they got sound effects and everything. Hold on. I gotta scroll down because they had sound effects, man. We gotta go back for that. Okay. I'm gonna pop out the speakers so you can hear this. Stupid train going by. Yeah, I'm not digging on this one. I'm sure they want me to be. For 200,000, I can imagine they want me to be. But thus far, I'm just not really that impressed. Okay. Great. Fantastic. I still have no idea what I'm getting for my money. All right. I'm sorry, I hate to be crude, but 200 grand, you better impress the heck out of me for that money. I don't know that you're going to be able to impress me that much. Okay, that's attractive. That's nice. That's nice. That's nice. I'm not impressed yet. That's nice. Yeah, I'm just trying. I'm really trying. Okay. So much beige. What did they do? Take a beige playbook and just decide it was going to be all beige all day long? You'd think they could afford color. Maybe not 70s Brady Bunch color, but color, like real color. Teals. I don't know. It's like they decided to go with the least risky color palette possible. Is that a? I don't know. I'm not. Rich people be crazy. Is all I'm gonna say. You could do so much with 50K, and this is what you're spending it. You could do so much with 200K, and this is where you're spending it. I don't know. I guess on the one hand, I can sort of kind of understand. Like, what they're really paying for is the ability to network with other people who could potentially make them even more money, or the ability to relax and be stress free in an environment where people aren't going to judge them for having that kind of money or aren't going to be after their money. I don't know. I'd have to interview somebody to try and understand the value of that equation. Thus far, I'm not seeing it. But then again, I think about all the things you could do with that, and just doesn't seem worth it to me. At any rate, yeah, I liked the balcony because of the plants. That was the only thing that had real color to it. I mean, honestly, look at that. It's got actual color to it, right? And this other shot, where's the other balcony shot? I mean, that I could dig. But is that like an underground tunnel or a runway, or what is that? Is that actually part of the venue? Yeah, this is nice. The greenery is nice. You almost feel like you're in a place where you could relax, like, and enjoy yourself a little bit. But yeah, so I've been looking at these venues, trying to decide which one somebody would use. So far, it's been like hard for me to. Now that's more reasonable, like $750 to $5,000 initiation, and then about $5,000 a year. The Core Club is the other one I was looking at. Yeah, no, Core Club was a little more fun. Um, yeah. Enter. Two locations. New York, 9:05 p.m. I have kept y'all here. Oh, here we go. Here's some of Core's interior. Like, who signed them up for the beige color palette? Is that like standard issue rich person beige is going to be the thing you do? And that piece of artwork, I don't know. That's not bad. That's not a bad part. That's a pretty view. I'll give them that. That's also a pretty view. Got a nice little couch seating area on the balcony there. It's right across the street from St. Patrick's, which is interesting. Let's see. That's where they were doing a book signing. They do those regularly. Let's see. This is Anna Destasi. Yeah. Then they have this Giorgio Armani display. Decent balcony, not as nice as the other one. People. Did a 1920s gala. It just seems like I said, what is up with the beige aesthetic? I mean, like, seriously? Is there some requirement that beige be incorporated into everything? I should just get some money to rent a place and put color in it. You know, color. And say, okay, pay me $50,000 to enter in here and I'll show you color. You can have actual color instead of just beige everywhere. But anyway, all right. So that's the research I've been doing. You guys are now caught up to date on my life. We have talked about pride, we have talked about love, we have talked about all kinds of things tonight. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your evening. I will be on Saturday doing writing, or Together We Write at 2 p.m. Hope you can join me there. And if not, I hope you have a fabulous weekend. And I will be back on Monday for The Artful Audience. Talk to y'all soon.